Hello and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove and I'm joined by a man for whom I have just one question. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. I thought you were going to go for whom the bell tolls. I got nervous.
Are you ready for your question?
I am.
What's your relationship with Suarez like?
Complicado?
Correct. I should make sure you've been paying attention to the commercials between the games.
It's still my favorite commercial, and it makes me laugh for different reasons every single time.
It's getting weirder given how Argentina's tournament's
There
going.
is that. Yeah, I think every time that commercial ends, we can track the tournament's progress by how... Like at first, it was like it would be funny if they didn't, or like I think it started with you saying it would be awesome if they met in the final, and then from there it's been like, what if they don't make it out of the group stage? Ooh, Argentina might not make it out of the group stage. Like it's gotten worse and worse as we've gone on.
I have another messy commercial question. In the sugary soft drink beverage commercial, when Messi fires a blue ball filled with paint at Carly Lloyd's blue ball filled with paint,
as you do,
was that friendly or was that in a rivalry kind of way?
I think the smirk at the end is meant to belie the rivalry, but it's still kind of weird because I don't think I've ever had the desire to kick balls of paint at my friends.
I think that's a really weird concept. Is whether what's the thinking behind that?
It is also like they're running through like a city center kicking paintballs at each other. Like I'm not sure the mayor of that town is loving that his city is now covered in blue paint. Also, that sugary soda could have an advertisement.
All right, should we get to the actual games?
Yeah.
Well, the commercials have been good. They've been mostly good. Don't you dare name a bad one.
All right.
All right, we're here to talk about the first game of today. We came in this morning ready for Belgium versus Tunisia. Are you ready? Spoiler alert.
I am.
3, 2, 1. It was a goal fest. It finished Belgium 5, Tunisia 2.
It did. It took me a minute to realize what commercial you thought I was going to say. Now I'm with you. And yeah, you're right, that one. Anyway, yes, Belgium 5, Tunisia 2. We have thoughts, Daryl. We have thoughts.
Oh.
Starting with, I'm going to go end at the beginning. How relieved are you that Michy Batshuayi finally got a goal?
So full disclosure, I guess, is probably not the best use of... Not the proper use of full disclosure. I didn't really want Belgium to score any more goals because I'm very concerned about England's goal difference. I want my team to have a superior goal difference to Belgium when we play them in the final group stage. But when Michy Batshuayi missed about 3 or 4 chances in a row, I really just wanted Michy Batshuayi to score.
I think you might be generous with 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I think it might have been a couple more.
I was trying to be generous because I really felt bad for him, especially after the display that Lukaku had put on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would have made him look the very junior partner to Romelu Lukaku. So the fact that Batshuayi got his goal, but then Tunisia also scored one. I feel like I got the Batshuayi emotional release for free.
It actually, first of all, I'm glad you got that.
Yeah.
Second, it actually connects to something you had said earlier about Boyata and how like he was kind of the understudy for Vermaelen or Company, whichever one of them returns. And like he's done an okay job, but he's made some mistakes that he hasn't caused any sort of lineup drama. Batshuayi similarly didn't cause any lineup drama. It will be Lukaku and then Batshuayi with a decent gap between.
I think that's right. And it'll be Vermaelen or Company. Whichever one of them gets fit first will replace Boyata at the centre of the defence. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about why Belgium scored so many goals.
Sure.
Is this a case of suddenly Belgium is firing on all cylinders and they're this unstoppable force that everybody now needs to think about as potential World Cup winners? Or is it that Tunisia are a defensive shambles?
Thank you for that setup because yes.
I think you're correct.
Yeah.
It's a bit of both. But I would say it's a little more the latter than the former. Like the latter allowed the former.
I always have to hesitate for a moment to remember which one of those is which. Yes, I think it is the case that we saw a more connected, free-flowing Belgium.
Yes.
And I think that is partially due to what we talked about in the preview, that Hazard and Lukaku had some words. It sounds like those words were mostly coming from Hazard and going into Lukaku's ears. And it seems like he processed them because we saw them look much more connected and look much more cohesive in their attack from start to finish.
I'm going to say this. I was worried about that at the time. I always feel it's weird when a teammate comes out and says, I yelled at my teammate. I get the feeling now that maybe Hazard and Lukaku just have that relationship.
I think
right?
so.
Where you can criticize each other to make each other better.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that between shows, right? We'll say, hey, we should do this, we should do that, and we'll have an argument about it. And the result is maybe, hopefully, a better Total Soccer show. Hazard and Lukaku do the same thing, and the result is a more potent Belgium attack.
I mean, I also don't go speak about you in the press, so that maybe is the differentiator there.
It's because the press won't take your calls.
That is true. I try. I do a Michael Scott. I call up YouTube. The
best example is, I think, Belgium's fourth goal, where Lukaku's not involved, right? It's Alderweireld over the top to Hazard. but Hazard runs into a space that Lukaku had just vacated and dragged a defender away and made a gap for Hazard to run into. Yeah. That's a really good example of their relationship, not emotional relationship, but their striking relationship and the way they make space for each other.
And I did see Lukaku, even in the first 10 minutes, there was a lot of gesturing and talking and sort of coordinating with Eden Hazard. And I do think part of that was to make sure, okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing, this is where we want to be in relation to each other. And I do think that factors into how they were able to score so many goals.
Can we also credit Thierry Henry?
Sure.
So we know that Thierry Henry is on the staff, assistant coach to Roberto Martinez, but we don't really know exactly what he's doing. We just got a little glimpse of it at half-time. As they were coming out the tunnel for the second half. You saw Henry talking to Hazard, and we didn't catch any of what he said. I'm assuming it was in French. But he was really doing a lot of gesturing, and it looked like gesturing in terms of positioning and running. So you got to think, Lukaku, Hazard, Mertens, Batshuayi are all getting this Thierry Henry advice. It's really, I think it's really added value for the Belgium team.
You had to throw Batshuayi in there, didn't you?
I mean, no, but he's a striker, so he's getting the advice, right? The advice was just keep shooting, one will go in eventually.
But yes, so I think that is definitely part of it. But if you go back to that first goal leading up to the penalty, which Eden Hazard converts, it is the case that I think Belgium are playing very good soccer, but I also think Tunisia either set up in a very naive way or did not execute a game plan, one or the other.
So we took a good look at the goals, right? We think Tunisia had a game plan. And they executed it. It was just a very bad plan.
Yeah.
Sort of very similar to the way Tunisia defended England on corner kicks. They did we'll man mark some people, we'll zonal mark some other people. That Harry Kane will be fine. He won't sneak away and score 2 goals. You know what I mean? It very much had that feel to it, where there's a definite plan, and it was a bad plan, and they stuck to it.
Yeah, and I think it's I think what we landed on...
And we'll explain the plan.
Yeah, I think it was essentially the idea was that they had, in a 4-2-3-1 formation, they basically had the 4, the 2, and the 3 all compact or sort of narrow inside the space where the 18-yard box would be.
So far, so good, right? Maybe that's something like Panama would do, for example.
Because the idea then is that you've got so many bodies in the middle of the field that it's going to be impossible for Belgium to find space and passing options, and you sort of concede the flanks, and you're okay with that.
Yeah, which is what Panama did for an entire 45 minutes against Belgium, and it absolutely worked. So why did Tunisia concede within 6 minutes?
Right. So the part where I think that they were naive is that usually if you're going to concede the flanks, that's fine, but you still have to put at least a little bit of pressure. You can't just have the players out wide, no pressure all the time in the world to pick a spot. Usually I would say you would send Belgium are on their right side, Tunisia's left. Usually you would send that left winger, that left attacking midfielder out wide to put pressure on the fullback or the wing back as Belgium were playing. In this situation, they sent their left back. If it was on the opposite side, they would send the right back. But everybody else stayed compact, which theoretically makes sense because, you can't play through the middle. We still have so many bodies, except if Eden Hazard slides over 5 yards, suddenly he's in a pocket of space with nobody around him and is equally capable of turning and dribbling or playing it back out wide and you've got a 1-2 wall pass. Suddenly everybody's in because you've bypassed the offside line.
So to put this another way, they had the compact back 4, but rather than sending a midfielder over to pressure the winger, they take a person out of the back 4 to go and pressure the wing, and you leave a hole in your defence. You are one member of your 4-man defence down. So in this case, it is, I believe it's Meunier has the ball wide right for Belgium because he's always going to be wide right as that right wing back. And Malou, the Tunisian left back, leaves the back 4, leaves the line of 4, goes out to meet Meunier. And it's all over from that point because then there's a gap for Eden Hazard to run into. And I believe, doesn't Hazard... He goes to receive a pass from Meunier, lets it run through his legs to Mertens, who then plays him into the gap. I think Mariah, the number 4 centre-back, comes over. It's Mariah who ends up fouling Hazard. One of the centre-backs fouls Hazard because they've all been pulled out of shape. And you end up with the left-back and both centre-backs over on the left wing because once one leaves and breaks the shape, it's all over.
Yeah, and then I think from then... You have to imagine that Tunisia's game plan was sit deep, block all the options, frustrate, and counter. That's a fine game plan if you aren't sending your fullbacks out wide. And if you have, and if you concede in 6 minutes, then your game plan is sort of broken, and you've got to try to go and get a goal.
So what they did to try and fix it is just do more crazy things with their fullbacks. Yeah. So the second goal, Belgium... We're not going to do every goal, right? I think these are just general concepts that are well illustrated by these goals. They keep the 2 centre-backs back, Mariah and Ben Youssef, and they send the 2 fullbacks high. They kept pushing the 2 fullbacks forward. And the second goal comes from a ball to the left back, Malou, who is far forward. That's his job. and he miscontrols it. To be fair, it's not a good ball, right?
I would say it's Mariah again playing this ball, but it's kind of bouncing when Malul gets it. Malul takes a heavy touch and it spills in front. Dries Mertens just takes it off of him. Away he goes.
Can we stop on this a second? Sure. I'm very confused by why Mariah did not play this ball on the floor. Why does he send it like waist height bouncing towards Malul, which is obviously harder to control?
I don't think he meant to. I think I think he mishits the ball. I think he hits it. He's trying to, because it's being swung around from the other center back, Ben Youssef. It's that sort of like the thing you see, right back to right center back to left center back to left back.
Yep.
And I think he's trying to do it in one fluid motion. But like Daryl and I are facing each other right now, and I think it would be like if I were facing you but trying to play the ball behind me, he tries to like swing that right foot across to send it, and he just hits it at the ground, so it goes bouncing.
So he probably just gets under it more than he wanted to. All right, so he makes things hard for Malul. Malul doesn't do well with it. He has a very loose touch. Dries Mertens is on it, and away we go. We go. Is it Dries Mertens all the way, then provides the pass to Lukaku?
Yes.
It is, right?
I would say it's Dries Mertens driving, and then it's like 60% Mertens because he has that interception, then the drive, then he waits for Lukaku to make the very smart run, then he plays the ball in.
All right, I want to stop here and give credit to Alexi Lalas on Fox. Fox is taking a lot of heat for their World Cup coverage because there's not enough analysis.
Yeah, I would say justifiably so.
Justifiably so. There is not enough analysis. But here was an example of when they actually do provide analysis, why it's useful.
Yep.
So Lalas pointed out that Lukaku makes, I can't remember what he called it, but it's essentially a feint to go near post, to make a near post run. Defender bites on it, then he quickly changes direction and goes far post, which means Mertens can slip him in lots of space.
And the reason why I think it's especially brilliant on his part, his being Lukaku's, is because that feint, the defender in that moment is panicking because suddenly it's a counterattack because they've sent the fullbacks forward. Now it's 2 defenders versus 4 Belgian attackers, roughly.
Yep.
And I think you're not really thinking clearly. Were he thinking clearly, he might have remembered that Romelu Lukaku would always prefer to shoot with his left foot. So when Lukaku makes that feint, if he had actually made that run and received the ball, he's now shooting on his right foot from this, like, the opposite angle. But because the defender bites, it allows him to open up his hips, get it on that left foot, put it in the bottom corner.
So Ben Youssef should have studied the tape.
A little bit.
Studied the Lukaku left-footed tape.
Yeah. But I would say, to echo your point, the reason why I think that sort of analysis is important and would be useful is because it gives us things to watch in the second half. Because we had noticed a little bit of Lukaku's movement, but not like the specific craftiness, and it was something that we paid attention to more. That's what that halftime analysis is supposed to be. When they do it well, it's really useful, and when they don't, it's really frustrating.
I'm 100% with you. Okay, I don't think we need to go through every Belgian goal. I think we've set up a good idea of what Belgium were doing and why it was so effective, and what Tunisia were doing and why that was not smart. But Tunisia did score 2 goals. So this is the other side of the coin of Belgium are now a World Cup force versus they did concede 2 goals against Tunisia.
Yeah, I mean, this does feel like a very Roberto Martinez result. Like, you get the win.
like getting relegated and winning the FA Cup in the same season.
Exactly. Like, we scored 5 goals, but we also conceded 2.
And now we're in the championship.
Perfect. And if I were him, I would be worried about those 2 goals. Obviously, the second one comes at the very, very end of the game.
It still wasn't good, though, was it?
It was not. And it's worth noting that both of them came from the wingbacks. The first goal is a free kick conceded by Meunier. Meunier then loses his man. Braun able to score.
Braun, the sellsword.
Yeah, perfect. We made it all this way. And then the second one is essentially Carrasco kind of doing what we thought he was going to do. He's too high. He doesn't have good defensive position. He's kind of caught between stepping to the person with the ball and leaving his man, so he does both.
And Nages slips in behind. Then Nages is able. He basically has the run of his own right wing for a second in the space behind Carrasco. He's able to square it for. I've forgotten his name.
Wabi Kazri.
Wabi Kazri. Yeah, Wabi Kazri gets his World Cup goal for Tunisia.
Yeah, but if I'm Gareth Southgate in England, I am very much focused on getting overloads on the flanks to try to pull those wingbacks out of position. Because
when they play Belgium.
I think you can get in behind them with regular ease.
That makes sense to me. All right, anything else to say on Belgium-Tunisia before we move on?
I mean, it's still a very good result for Belgium. And it's definitely one that I thought they would struggle to find goals against Tunisia. I did think Tunisia would look better, but it does make me think, maybe there's more to this Belgium team than I thought. Including
their centre-forward possibly being in the Golden Boot race. He's co-leading the Golden Boot race right now. Romelu Lukaku has 4, right?
Yep.
2 against Panama, 2 against Tunisia. He is level with Cristiano Ronaldo.
When he gets those 2 against England, he'll go top of the charts, maybe.
Hey, if Harry Kane gets 2 against Panama, then they'll all be joint top.
I like that it all has to balance out for you.
It does. It certainly does. All right, we have got Mexico, South Korea to talk about. But first, today's show is sponsored by Little Nomad. This is a local sponsor with products that are available to a national audience. It's a shop for kids' clothes run by a friend of ours. How about that?
That's right. And worth noting, don't just Google Little Nomad, because I believe there's other Little Nomad companies out there, including one that does like baby mats. That's not what we're doing
There's
here.
only one URL you got to go to.
Yep.
It's littlenomadshop.com. Littlenomadshop.com. It's a modern lifestyle boutique for your little ones. They carry a thoughtful mix of clothes, books, toys, and other gift items.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hip clothing for hip kids, hip toddlers, hip babies.
Yeah.
We bought my nephew a onesie there when he was not but a wee baby.
Not but a wee baby.
Yeah.
I brought my nephews the So Fresh and So Clean t-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, which I think is an Outcast reference.
Yes.
They think it's about toothpaste and everybody wins.
Things can be two things.
So worth noting that the backstory here is the co-owner with his wife, Anthony, is a friend of ours that we played soccer with, played a lot of futsal with him at the YMCA, and Anthony's got some moves. He started this store.
I think he was wearing orange shoes the first time I met him, which he backs up the orange shoes.
That's the important thing. Orange shoes with some rolling it around on the sole of his foot. Yeah. So the shop was opened on one of the main street in Richmond, Broad Street, main sort of commercial street. It's a great storefront where like kids can go in and like draw on the walls and stuff. It's really, really good. They had a really unfortunate incident about 3 weeks ago where there was no one in the store, so no one was hurt, but there was a car accident on the busy road outside. One of the cars spun out, came through the storefront, hit the window. They have had to shut down the physical store while they get it all repaired. So we are helping Little Nomad Shop promote their online sales. So if you go to littlenomadshop.com, you will find the very best, because Anthony has sort of selected items from all around the world, the very best kids' clothing and gifts that you will find.
There we go. So once again, that's
littlenomadshop.com. Friend of the Total Soccer Show, but also genuinely...
And friend of yours.
And a friend of yours, but I genuinely vouch for their products. My nephews loved their T-shirts. There are so many cool things in there.
My nephew can't speak yet, but I'm pretty sure he loved it, so that works out.
So there you go, littlenomadshop.com. The link will be in the show notes. When you get to the website, make sure you click on shop, and then you will be given, because their whole story is on the front page. Click shop, and then you'll have a complete list of all the available items.
Beautiful.
Up next, Mexico, South Korea. If you do not want spoilers, fingers in your ears, take your headphones out. This game finished 3-2-1. 2-1 to Mexico. It's another Mexican victory. The Mexico team now has 6 points at the World Cup.
They absolutely do, and in a surprising fashion. And I don't mean in the sense that I expected them to drop points. It's just they only made one change to their lineup. I was surprised by Juan Carlos. We're used to like 7 changes, 10 changes.
Not so
just
much
the one.
Not so many rotaciones.
I was confused. I didn't know what to believe in anymore.
What was the change? Ayala, the centre-back who started against Germany, was out. Salcedo, the right-back against Germany, moves to the centre, partners Hector Moreno. And in comes Eduardo Alvarez at right-back.
And I want to say Daryl Grove gets credit for sniffing this one out, because I was trying to figure it out, and Daryl said, it's because they're anticipating them being fast.
I mean, I don't know that that's... I don't know that that's 100% accurate. I haven't done a beep test with or a speed test with Ayala.
Yeah.
But I'm going to guess that because he can play right back, Salcedo is faster than Ayala. I'm going to guess that Eduardo Alvarez is faster than Ayala. And we also know that it didn't work for South Korea when they put the big man, Chewy, up front against Sweden.
Yeah.
And then the other guys, especially Son
Heung-min?
Thank you. Son Heung-min has wheels. He is rapido. So the way to do this is to get some faster defenders in there, and then you can contain South Korea's attack for the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Until the very end.
Yeah, he does get the one goal later on. Not coincidentally against probably the slowest guy on the field. We'll talk about him later.
That worked.
So let's talk about Mexico's goals.
Sure.
This was really interesting to me because I see both goals now when we go back and rewatch them. They're not sustained Mexican possession and carving out a chance. This is Mexico on the counter-attack. And weirdly, even though they seem very different, I say they both follow a very similar pattern.
I would agree. And I think I don't know, maybe we're both just so on the Juan Carlos Osorio hype train, which could explode at any moment. I shouldn't say inevitably, but I do think there are elements in here of, once again, him getting his tactics exactly right, and it being a little bit genius, because I think part of it was psychological, but you're absolutely right that a big part of it seemed to be maybe not necessarily possessing and having complete domination there, but sort of looking for those moments and then springing when they presented themselves.
I think that's exactly right. So you'll remember that the first goal comes from a penalty kick, but as always with the Total Soccer Show, we were interested in the moves behind the moves behind the moves. The whole thing starts with, I can't remember who the Korean player is, they have it sort of on the right side near the touchline. You get Hector Herrera and Andres Guardado, the two central midfielders from Mexico, are both over there, hassling until they come away with the ball. Then the counter-attack is sprung, and it's not sustained possession like Spain passing it around the top of a box. There's kind of a wild passes across the box, chances, half clearance. Then the ball gets to Chicharito. He squares it inside to Guardado. Guardado tries to cross, and Jang comes sliding across with his arms in the air.
Which, again, I felt like you were all over this game, because you really did. I was like, Salcedo, huh? And then I think you went like, oh, they must not be starting the big man up top, they being Korea.
Yeah.
And then with this
Credit
one...
to Osorio for reading that as well. He must have seen the Sweden game and been like, they're not starting him again. That didn't go well.
But then you had also predicted Jang doing some reckless challenges or some reckless sliding tackles.
To be fair, there is a lot of video evidence out there of reckless tackles from Jang. And in this case, when Guardado has the ball on the sort of left side of the box from Guardado's perspective, Jang could just stand him up, right? He doesn't have to go sliding in there. And I think he also tries to read what Guardado's going to do. I think he thinks Guardado's putting a low ball in, right? Maybe for someone like Chucky to be on the end of. But instead, Guardado chips it. And so Jang's arms are in the air. It hits his arm. It's a definite penalty kick. He has no defense.
No, he doesn't. I mean, you don't see him really complain. He just looks kind of forlorn. I would say we've established some trends from this World Cup. So the one that I think has been a talking point yesterday and today has been how many set piece goals there have been, how many goals from penalties and corners and free kicks. And then I think you and I have established that there's a trend of the yo-yo press, the counter press leading to goals.
Yeah.
But I think a third kind of subtle narrative is don't leave your feet until you have to. We saw it with Ivanovic. We saw it with Pazdan. I would say we saw it here as well with Jang, that you just don't want to jump too early, because again, you lose control of your body, arms get flailing, ball hits arm, penalty gets conceded, Carlos Vela scores goal.
Oh, Carlos Vela. So Carlos Vela, who did that great job man-marking Toni Kroos, gets to step up and take the penalty kick. I think you spotted that he reads what the goalkeeper's trying to get him to do, and so what is this? Is he double crosses the goalkeeper, basically?
A little bit, yeah. It's if you imagine it from the goalkeeper's perspective, he kind of lunges to his left and then dives right. And I think
Cho is the goalkeeper.
Yeah, and I think Vela basically puts it almost exactly where the goalkeeper lunged before Vela took the penalty. And I think he just thought, you're trying to make me go the other way. I'm going the way you initially feinted, and he ends up putting it in.
Yeah, so you're saying if you're feinting or faking or lunging one way, then you're probably definitely trying to get me to go the other way. So I'm going to go there.
Yeah. And I'll say this because I think it pertains to the second goal as well, that if you're running up to to strike that ball on a penalty and you're looking at the goalkeeper and thinking, oh wait, he went that way, should I go this way? You're in your head, and that's where the goalkeeper wants you to be, because even if he doesn't save it necessarily, you may still miss it because you're overthinking. And I think this goal spoke to Carlos Vela kind of picking his spot, not letting any head games mess with him, and he just puts it exactly where he wanted to put it, and it's a goal. And I think Chicharito does the same thing for the second.
Oh, let's talk about the second.
Before we do, if you don't mind me, I want to say the other reason why I think Juan Carlos Osorio got his tactics completely right is because I think if you looked at this South Korea team, given a lot of the chaos they've been going through and the kind of formation changes that were expected, the uncertainty about the team, I think it would have been logical for them to sit numbers behind the ball, try to break through Son Heung-min, frustrate Mexico, and maybe we thought that's what they were going to do a little bit. I think we had the conversation early on that this felt like a CONCACAF game for Mexico, of sort of playing a weaker CONCACAF opponent. They're sitting deep.
Yeah,
and I think
when Trinidad goes to the Azteca is an example I really remember of them frustrating Mexico.
Yeah, so I think, again, maybe I'm giving him too much credit here, but I think Juan Carlos Osorio maybe went for the tactic that we've kind of wanted some coaches to do, which is then cede possession and basically say, you guys want to sit back, here's the ball, now we'll sit back. And then you kind of pull that team out, then you press them, and if they concede possession, if they've been drilling the whole week for, we're going to stay defensively solid, we're going to keep our lines, but suddenly they start strolling forward, there are vulnerabilities in behind. And the other thing, which this is the psychological one, and again, this is the one where I'm probably definitely reaching, is that the leader of Korea is there. You saw it when the players who've already done their military service subbed off, they saluted.
Yes,
and it makes me think that they're just a little bit more up for it because they're in. And so they're going to be they're going to be flying into tackles, they're going to be really trying to make something happen, and it leaves opportunities because they're no longer executing a game plan. They're playing with passion and pride and heart, which is all the things the commentators love, but not necessarily things that tacticians love.
So what do you think about the flying into tackle stuff? Because I saw a lot of Korean fouls on Mexico players immediately followed by very sincere-looking apologies.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think maybe only, who was the youngster, the Korean Messi who subs in?
Oh, number 10, Lee.
Yes, Sungwoo Lee. He, I think, had one where I was like, ooh, you knew what you were doing there.
That was because he tried a couple of moves, lost the ball, there was a counter-attack on. I think he was making up for him losing the ball by going and fouling someone at midfield.
Yeah, I think so. And then Woo Young-jung, the other substitute, he had a couple. I think he picked up a yellow too.
Yep.
I forget who it was, but either way, it was definitely a couple moments of like, ooh, you're frustrated.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think it was just trying to win the ball back as much as they could.
Yeah.
But I think
some of them were just, Mexican players were too fast in getting away from it. It was a genuine attempt to tackle the ball and they just didn't get there in time. And the apology just seemed sincere. Oh, I'm sorry, I caught you. But I think that also explains a lot about why this game felt a little broken up, especially in the first half, because there were a lot of Mexican counters and Mexican attacks that couldn't flow because they were either deliberately or accidentally chopped down.
But I think to put a point on it before we move on, I also still think that it was trying to pull them out a little bit, makes them get spread, and then when they go a goal behind, Korea have to really start sending those numbers forward. And if they're already sort of like not necessarily consistent when it comes to being counterattacked upon, then when Mexico win the ball back in, I think as you spotted again, a very similar position to the first goal, they know exactly how they're going to break and they end up scoring.
So the second goal, I'm excited to talk about the second goal because there's a lot going on. First of all, as you said, Korea have the ball on their own right side near the touchline. And once again, the two central midfielders, Herrera and Guardado, are both over there together, which is weird, right? Normally you have your central midfielders spread, or not spread, but like occupied in the centre. You don't get them both to go to the same side unless there's a plan. And once again, there's a bit of bit of bodying, a bit of tackling, a few pokes, and they come away with the ball. I believe it's Herrera comes away with the ball. Maybe Guardado, I'm not sure.
It's Herrera wins it, Guardado comes away because Guardado plays in Lozano.
So that's where it starts. And then essentially, there may be some other players milling around, but it's Chucky Lozano running through the centre at pace with the ball.
I'm not sure he knows any other way.
He's been a threat all game, right? He's been a threat all game. He has, I believe, Carlos Vela to his right. He has Chicharito to his left. And he has, I think it's definitely Jang, centre-back, on the right. And I think it's Kim, the left centre-back, on the left. It's a 3v2, right? So at this point, it's all about, can Chucky Lozano make the right decision? And does he?
See, and it's especially impressive because I absolutely thought he didn't. Because it seemed like Vela, because Chicharito was a little bit closer and coming in from a tighter angle, I thought you could just lay it off to Vela. He can do the one-time strike. And I'm going to guess that's what the Korean defenders thought he was going to do as well.
Doesn't he slightly fake towards Vela? I'm sure that he takes...
He opens up just a little bit and
like
kind of brings it inside. And I think upon 50th viewing, I'm realizing I thought he was bringing it inside to kind of square it with his left foot. It's like you take a touch in with your right, you square it with your left. Vela has a shot. But really what he's doing is cutting inside, bringing the defender with him to open up even more space for Chicharito on his left.
Exactly, because if you watch this again, there's just a little, like his hips did lie, a little hips towards Vela. And the right centre-back, Jang, who is so far tracking Chicharito, takes a step that way because he thinks, it's all going to this side. I'm going to go over and we can try and cover Vela. That step to the Jang's own left, which is Chucky's right,
you got it,
opens up more space for Chicharito. So then Chucky chooses his moment, slips it in for Chicharito.
Yes.
All right, so Chicharito then cuts on Jang, who goes scampering back over a little too fast,
and I think
that finishes near post.
Yeah.
We took a good look at Chicharito scoring this goal and noticed all kinds of things that I think are fascinating in terms of how Chicharito operates as a striker.
Yes, I think, and maybe a lot of this is predicated upon his time with Manchester United, since that's where I'm most familiar with him from. But as I remember with Man United, he was that, everybody remembers his aerial ability and his pace, but it's the kind of in the box poacher aspect. Like his first goal with Man United, as I've often said, was kicking the ball into his own face and then it rolled into the goal. But it's him knowing where to be in relation to the goal at all times.
But here's the most important thing: is when we rewatched it, even though he cuts Jang, like cuts inside and finishes near post, he's not looking at the defender or the goalkeeper or the goal at any time. As soon as the ball's coming towards him, he is just looking down at the ball.
Yeah.
I would say that's bad technique, to just be looking down at the ball and not looking up and around at what's going on. But I think this might be an example of goal scorer's instinct, is that he is so familiar with the angles and the positions and all of that he can focus on just looking at the ball and deciding what to do.
Yes. I think you're absolutely right, though, that he will miss some of those chances because he won't pick his head up. The difference is that I don't think it's just simply like keeps his head down, doesn't pay attention to his surroundings. I think Chicharito, the reason why he is such a good poacher in the box is because he has that awareness of where he is in relation to the goal and at what angle. So when that defender comes, he can just take the cut across, have the shot, and he knows, oh, I've moved 1 foot to the right, so my shot needs to be 1 foot to the left or whatever it is, and he knows that angle. Sometimes it means he doesn't pick his head up and he kicks it right into the goalkeeper. Other times, because the goalkeeper is panicking and running out and leaving his feet, Chicharito can basically just slide it underneath him and put it in.
That's what happens here. It's not the cleanest strike, right? It's not
He hits it with his
strike.
heel, and I think he kind of hits it into the ground.
But it still goes in. And the realization I had is that the good thing about not looking at what the keeper's going to do, and this sounds totally counterintuitive, is that you never second guess yourself. You never see the goalkeeper coming and think, oh, he's coming this way, I need to move it this way. And you've seen strikers do that before. You've seen strikers freeze a couple of times when they see the goalkeeper coming for them. If you've already decided, I'm going to cut it with my left foot this way, and then I'm going to shoot it with my right foot into this near post, you just execute it. You execute it smoothly and quickly, and you trust your decision-making, and you just get it done, and you do it quickly. I think that's the point. You do it quickly, and you never second-guess yourself. There's an argument, and it's Chicharito's goal-scoring record, that is more effective than trying to read what the keeper's doing.
Yeah.
I
Each
think
to
their own, I think, and I think that works for Chicharito.
But because if you're trying to read the goalkeeper's coming out, they're going to come sliding out. You might think like, oh, I'll do the thing that we've seen Messi do countless times, where he cuts inside and cuts inside and cuts inside, and then ends up passing it into the middle of the goal. Like, you can do that if you're Leo Messi, but that also means that you give the defenders more time to come back and get in front. You get numbers in the box, somebody can body you off. If you just take it quickly, and if you're feeling it, if you have that confidence, and I think everything we've seen from this Mexico team in this tournament is that they have that confidence. They're playing as a team. They're playing as a unit. So why wouldn't you back yourself if you're Chicharito? He does, and they end up winning 2-1.
So this whole Chicharito thing is, to me, one of the small joys of watching Mexico closely at the World Cup.
Agreed.
Right? We're not going all in Fox Sports supporting Mexico, but we are paying very close attention to them. Not because we've decided to support them because the US isn't there, but because they're a very exciting team to watch. They're one of the teams you should be paying attention to at the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the joys, is figuring out Chicharito's instinct in the box.
Yeah, because I really do think I've seen a few people make this point.
He's a pea in the box.
Yes, he's a little pea in the box. But I think I've seen multiple people make the point that some of the perennial powers obviously are not there to begin with. Or I don't know if perennial works for the World Cup, but some of the consistent powers aren't there in this tournament. Some of the consistent powers that are there are having down tournaments, at least right now at time of recording. We'll see how Germany do.
Yeah.
But it does feel like a tournament where some of the like unheralded or maybe like consistently dark horse candidates can make a run of this tournament.
Consistently round of 16 candidates?
Yeah. It does feel like maybe Mexico can get the fifth game.
Yes. If they do get that fifth game,
I'll knock on wood. Sorry, Mexico fans.
Will they keep doing it by bringing Rafa Marquez in for the final 20 minutes? Because I think it was like 72nd minute against Germany that he came in to close things down. It was the 68th, 69th minute against Korea that he came in. And there was some good and some bad.
Yeah, let's go to the bad first. So he, in the 75th minute, I think they were showing a replay, they cut back and suddenly Mexico were like in trouble. Ochoa was scrambling. The Korean attackers were in there, and it's basically because Marquez is splitting the two attacking players from Korea. Ochoa plays him the ball.
Ochoa being the Mexican goalkeeper, if you're not familiar.
Rafa Marquez drops it back to Ochoa, theoretically, but he gets it about halfway there, and then the ball's intercepted. Right? Yeah.
This is, weirdly, I remember thinking, this is the last thing you would expect from Rafa Marquez, because when you talk about having someone on your roster who's experienced, Rafa Marquez 39 and all that, you think that the thing of being experienced is you don't make silly errors, right? You don't have a Willy Caballero moment.
Ideally not.
So that's why this was very surprising for me that Rafa Marquez did this.
Yeah, me as well. I mean, to be fair, he then gets back into position to help out. Nothing comes of it.
That's the flip side. He doesn't just help out. He makes a tackle to basically shut this move down. So he puts out his own fire. So there's that element to having Rafa Marquez on the team.
There is also the element of maybe not quite fleet of foot as he was in the past. Mm-hmm. It is worth noting Son Heung-min's goal. I can't do the pronunciation. I apologize. It is a rocket.
It's pronounced goal.
That's perfect. Yeah, let's do that. But it's him cutting inside, hitting with his left foot, back corner. But it's Rafa Marquez that he's able to kind of get around to get the space to get that shot off. That said, it's an amazing strike. I don't know how often those come off in a game. Mm-hmm. The thing that I would say as to why he maybe continues to get minutes, number one is that I predicted he would start, so I would like him to start at least one game. But number two is that at the very end, you could still see, because Mexico had played on the break and had success on the break, you would still see a few Mexican players. The left back was
Gallardo.
Thank you, Gallardo, like sneaking forward down the line, and literally Rafa Marquez like puts his finger in the air, is like no, and then Gallardo came back. And I think you need that kind of midfield general with maybe an element of like he might punch you in the face if you don't do what he tells you to do. So maybe everybody stay in line.
Because there's about 2 minutes at the end that I think of them as the ole 2 minutes, where Mexico's plan is don't get too far forward, just move the ball around. And Rafa Marquez, he's subbed in for Guardado, right? And Guardado, remember, recently back from injury, so maybe he's not. There's no point making him play 90 if you don't have to.
Recently back from injury, but we know he got a triple blessing from someone's grandma on TV.
If you haven't seen this, sorry, it's a little bit off topic, but I love it. There's footage before the Germany game of someone's grandma. I don't know if they're in Mexico or in the United States. It's when the national anthem is playing and the camera pans across all the players.
Yeah.
She gives a Catholic, I guess, blessing with the cross to every single player as they come across, and just Guardado gets the triple blessing.
So we're thinking blessing because he's playing, blessing because he's captain, blessing because he's carrying an injury.
Yes.
Triple blessing. unless that's some like Catholic rite that I don't know because I am not Catholic, so apologies there. But he comes in.
Rafa Marquez in the middle, he plays that central defensive midfield role and just sprays the ball left, right, ole, 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 and the game is played out basically the last couple of minutes in that way, with Rafa Marquez calming everything down.
So well done, Rafa Marquez, mostly. Well done, Mexico, completely.
Yes.
And well done, Juan Carlos Osorio, for once again getting his tactics right.
Korea, 2 defeats?
Yep.
Are they officially out now?
Yep.
They are, right? Oh, that's rough. That's rough for Korea.
One game still to play. We'll see if they can still salvage a point or 3 in their final game.
It's going to be against Germany.
Yeah, that could be tough.
Speaking of Germany, we will get to their game against Sweden very soon on today's show. No spoilers here. But first, we have a new sponsor to welcome to the Total Soccer Show ranks. Today's sponsor is Liverpool Jeans.
That's right, Liverpool Jeans, premium quality jeans at non-premium prices.
Here's the backstory on Liverpool Jeans. I looked at who our advertisers are. I realised we did not have a jeans sponsor. I wear jeans a lot, and I'm very sort of particular about my jeans.
Yeah.
I really went and looked for places that I think this would be a good fit, selfishly for me, but also I think would be a good fit for Total Soccer Show listeners. Liverpool Jeans is the company I found and reached out to, and it's all worked out beautifully.
It has. And speaking of a good fit, we did get a few pairs ourselves.
That was not a deliberate pun.
But they were a good fit.
Yes.
I think if people are going to buy them, I would say you even get the luxury of, at least in my case, buy like one size smaller. I think that was the case for you too. So
it makes you feel better, right?
It does. That was welcome. But I think part of that is because we got the not just 100% cotton, but 99% cotton, 1% stretchy.
There's just a little bit of spandex in there, which gives it just a little bit of stretch. And we both did end up going down 1 inch one size.
Yes.
Also, good thing I love about Liverpool Jeans, they do every size. Have you noticed that a lot of jeans will only be in increments of 2 inches for the waist? Liverpool Jeans very, very happily go increments of 1 inch.
I'm not trying to blow up your size here, but I specifically noticed that when you ordered the odd size and then you got it, and I was like, what? We could do that? That's possible? Yes. So that is a thing.
But I've ended up with an even size because they sent a couple extras either way. It does have, the Liverpool Jeans have this little bit of stretch in it that not only is it forgiving on your waist in that way, it's also very comfortable. It means that you can have what did we get? Not skinny, we got slim fit.
Yep.
You can have slim fit jeans that look nice and tight and look very fashionable, but also have some ease of movement.
Yes.
You can move your legs around in Liverpool jeans.
You don't have to turn them into jort cutoffs a la It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You can leave them as they are. You still have a range of movement.
They are also under $100, which I think is important for jeans as well. I don't want to overpay for jeans. And they look great if you wear them for something casual or something classy. You can dress it up a bit.
But you can get them for even less than $100 off because there is a discount code. Is there, my friend?
There certainly is. If you go to liverpooljeans.com, if you're a man, click on the men's section. There are also women's jeans available via liverpooljeans.com. When you go to checkout, use the discount code TSS. It's discount code TSS for 20% off at liverpooljeans.com. That way they know that we sent you there, but also you get the discount. It's a win-win-win for 3 companies.
All right. Well, it was a win-win. It was a win-win-win for one team in Germany v Sweden. We'll tell you which one in 3, 2, 1. It was the Germans.
I thought you were going to give it away.
But at the same time, it was the Germans, because, wow, that was pretty impressive in terms of a finish.
So if you didn't see it, Sweden went ahead in the first half. Some tactical changes for Germany at halftime that we'll get into later. They got the equalising goal early-ish in the second half, but they really needed the win, right, because they lost that first game against Mexico, so it got very dramatic towards the end. And cometh the hour, cometh the Toni Kroos.
Yes.
95th minute, free kick from a weird angle. It's actually very hard to score from that angle. Toni Kroos steps up, doesn't hit it first time. He does essentially a 1-2 with Royce, right? Yes. Royce gets the assist for this.
He sure does.
All he did was stop the ball and hold it in one place.
Yes.
So that Kroos can step up and bend it around the wall and into the top right corner.
And given the foul that led to this free kick, I'm assuming it was a direct free kick, which means it didn't have to be played into Marco Royce. I'm guessing that was only so they could get, because it's so close to the end line, to get an extra couple feet wider, so that then you can get a better angle on it, so you don't just hit it from such a tight angle.
They widened the angle just a little bit by rolling it to the right and having Marco Royce do like a place kicker thing for him.
Yep. And I believe I'm correct in saying that the 2 Swedish players who tried to charge the ball, number one, were maybe slightly distracted because the referee moved them back right as the Germans put the ball into action.
At Toni Kroos' request?
Yes, but then also both of them, again, jumped at the ball, so they kind of turned their backs. They weren't quite in a position where they were standing it up straight, and maybe it hits them.
It was Dermaz and Larsen, by the way.
That's right, because Dermaz commits the foul. Larsen is there to yell at both Dermaz and the official.
And just to backtrack a little bit, it was Timo Werner gunning it down the left. Dermaz could have let him go because he still had Larsen to beat to get to the end line. Dermaz did not need that big, clumsy slide tackle to give away the free kick.
But I think they were
in the 95th minute.
Yeah, but I think they were so terrified of Timo Werner because that is almost a carbon copy sequence of what happened that led to Germany's equalizer, 2 or 3 minutes into the second half. So I think Dermaz remembered that, didn't want to be at fault for getting beat and allowing the easy cross in. So instead he goes to ground, concedes that free kick. But I would also say, he is not the one I blame for this sequence.
Oh, you have a culprit for this sequence.
Right? I have no rooting interest for either one of these teams, but I am genuinely annoyed with John Guidetti.
So John Guidetti is a Swedish striker who did not start the game. He came in reasonably late.
Yep.
I can't remember if it was for Toivonen or for Marcus Berg.
It was Toivonen in the 78th. He looks at the match report.
So we got, 17 minutes total. John Guidetti, it was a Swedish attack in the 94th minute that he did not CONCACAF. Right? Sweden needs some CONCACAF lessons. There's a long goal kick that Sweden actually did a thing where for goal kicks they would pick one side, crowd it with some big dudes, often win those balls in the air. It's flicked on to John Guidetti. He's got a defender with him. He can only see the near post. Manuel Neuer standing at the near post. He's got Emil Forsberg all the way to his left. He's got a player to his right. He could have run it into the corner and killed the game down. That's what Blas Perez would have done. Instead, he takes a very low percentage shot into the waiting arms of Manuel Neuer.
Who doesn't, he just picks it up. He doesn't bend down. He doesn't get his body behind it. He just picks it up. That's how bad the shot was. I feel like you did all of the play-by-play narration there because you were worried that I might lose my mind if I started getting into it, which I probably would have because...
It's an anger management tool.
Because he's got Forsberg off to the left. He could easily square that ball. But
wide open. Yeah. Because Germany are pushing because they need the win.
Yeah, or how many times have we seen a player dribble to that corner flag, put their foot on the ball, stand there and just wait to get fouled?
Chicharito did it, more towards the end line, but he did it for Mexico towards the end of that South Korea game.
And he had teammates there. At worst, it would have been like a 3-on-3 situation, but instead he goes for that shot. Now you've got 4 players for Sweden far up the field. Manuel Neuer can throw the ball 50, 60 yards, which he does. Most of them do well to get back.
They do hustle back really well, which is impressive.
Yeah, but it is straight from Neuer's throw. There's a couple passes, and then Timo Werner's taken down. So I really do think if John Guidetti doesn't take that shot, this game finishes 1-1.
They could have gone to the corner, killed it. Yeah, like you said, won a free kick, killed some time. That game would be over. And I actually don't think it's about the counter-attack, because Sweden really do a good job of getting back in shape. It's more that no sort of attack could have happened at all if he just calmed it down, slowed it down, not given the ball up.
And I'll stop harping on this one.
He wanted to be a hero, I'm sure, right? He wanted
100%.
to be the game winner.
He wanted to be the game winner. It was his World Cup debut for Sweden, for anyone. But I think also the reason why...
Wasn't he on the 1958 Brazil team?
I'm not sure he was, but I'll check that. But I think the reason why it makes me so frustrated, again, don't have a rooting interest, but it's because you have to know, because you're on that field and you've been on the bench, how high that the nerves are for Sweden. They've been defending the entire half, and desperately so, basically since the equalizer. Everybody's tense, everybody's nervous, nobody wants to be the one to make a mistake. You have the opportunity to alleviate all that pressure by keeping the ball all the way up the field, and now you put people into a situation where, yes, Durmaz doesn't need to go to ground. No, he probably shouldn't have made that sliding challenge, but if you don't put him in that position, then he's not in that position.
Okay, so let's go back to Tony Kroos.
Yeah, but anyway, good hit, Tony.
Tony Kroos, great free kick that we just talked about. But maybe more importantly, for the narrative, simmer down over there. And
he fouled in that one build-up play, too.
Yes,
His
he did.
two actions on the field were that one, and then he fouls somebody when they're counterattacking right in front of the referee when Sweden are about to cross the ball. Stupid John Guidetti.
All right, I'm going to make this even worse for you then. Remember the shot of his girlfriend crying when he comes on to make his World Cup debut?
Yeah.
Maybe she knew. Maybe she knew he was going to ruin it all.
She's a time traveler?
Yeah, she just came to witness it again. So Tony Kroos, who scores the match winner, celebrates, causes all that emotion for Germany, and a much-needed win, because they were in huge trouble with only 1 point from their first two games.
Yep.
He started all this in a bad way.
Yeah, he did.
The reason that Sweden are 1-0 up in the first half, around about the 30-something minute, right, is that Tony Kroos gives the ball away in central midfield.
He certainly does. I think he's trying to just calm things down a little bit for Germany and pass through the middle. And I think Sweden were fully prepared for that one because it's Berg who intercepts the pass from Tony Kroos in Germany's half.
Yep, he's aiming for Gundogan. Tony Kroos is trying to split the two Swedish players and get it to Gundogan's feet. He was trying to do what Granit Xhaka did for Switzerland yesterday. You know, when you just play a ball through a tiny alley, but then it breaks the midfield and you're away. Tony Kroos was trying to do that ball to Ilkay Gundogan. Marcus Berg reads it. I think.
100%. Yeah, and maybe even baits him into doing it by making it seem as though Berg is going to run the other way where that ball is going to go. Instead, he steps across, intercepts it, plays it wide, and they're away.
He opens the door just to close Tony Kroos' hand in it.
Yeah. Berg plays it wide to Klaassen.
Painful imagery for
Klaassen takes a touch, plays it in, chested by Toivonen, lobbed over Manuel Neuer. Some people were, I saw on Twitter, I think Ed D. Horatius was the one to tweet us to say that Neuer probably doesn't need to leave his line in this situation, but I think...
Try telling that to Manuel Neuer.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Manuel Neuer does, and I think he thinks he can make a play on this, but Toivonen just takes an excellent touch, and I think Neuer is leaving as the ball's in the air, which is why Toivonen, maybe he doesn't see that chest and then lob coming, so he thinks he's got the angle, but Neuer doesn't.
I like the lob, because I think that's quite a calm, composed thing to do in the moment, to lift it over the keeper, but not lift it so high that it goes over the bar. Right? So great work from Toivonen. Some might say that sunshine follows thunder. No, some might say that that Sweden should have had a penalty kick even before the Toivonen goal. Do you remember?
I would say most, except for Jerome Boateng, would say that.
Jerome Boateng and the referee and the VAR crew, right? So Marcus Berg, I believe it's a ball from Klaassen again, puts Marcus Berg in.
Again, I think it's a turnover, this time from Rudiger. Rudiger turns the ball over. Toivonen forces that one, plays it to Klaassen. Klaassen plays him in.
Because there was a guilty close-up.
Yes, it was afterwards.
Afterwards. So Sweden's two great chances came from German turnovers as they were trying to play their way forward, right? Marcus Berg is basically through on goal. Boateng, I think, slides in, doesn't get the ball and takes Berg's feet out from under him.
And gives him a little shove in the back.
And gives him a little shove. It's 100% a penalty kick, right? And I think in that case it would have been a yellow card to Boateng, but also penalty kick.
Because it was in the box, it would have been a yellow.
Yeah. This is the first time I've really thought, VAR should have caught this one.
I think there was one yesterday that we thought should have been a penalty. I think Dr. Joe agreed. I can't remember which game it was because there have been many. But yes, this was the second one for me that I don't fully understand why it wasn't given, and I certainly don't understand why it wasn't reviewed, because the idea should be that they say to him, like unless like the VAR official said into the center official's earpiece, like, hey, that was definitely a foul, and he's like, oh yeah, I saw it, I just didn't call it. Like, I don't know what the other reason would be, because
I owe Jerome Boateng money. I can't do that.
Unless they just thought, oh, it's like maybe he saw the contact, maybe he did kind of get the ball, maybe the ball was away. I don't know why they didn't do it, but it should have been a penalty, and it should have been a yellow, which then would have made Jerome Boateng's actual first yellow his second yellow, and then he never would have gotten what would have been his third yellow.
His third yellow, unless Graham Poll was refereeing. He does get that second yellow later on. He's sent off in the second half, so it's all the more impressive that Germany pull off this 2-1 win, playing with 10 men. Joshua Kimmich essentially plays centre-back and a bit of right-back at the same time to see out this game, right? Okay, the big thing is, though, this all looked very bad at half-time because Germany are 1-0 down. And this is Jogi Löw's slightly reshaped first 11 after the Mexico game, right? So what are the changes that he had made?
I mean, the big one is that Mesut Ozil does not start this
game.
Dropped
Mesut Ozil. Yeah. That's a big one, right?
Marco Reus starts centrally just behind Timo Werner.
Yes, okay. So, and then Thomas Muller gets to play in the centre. No, Thomas Muller's in the centre, right?
He's on the right. Thomas Muller was on the right still. It's basically Marco Reus comes centre.
Okay.
And then, I believe so. And then you've got Toni Kroos in the middle. He was there in the first game, but partnering him was Sebastian Rudy.
That's it. I forgot this happened. Rudy got an very accidental boot in the face and had to come off quite early in the first half, replaced by Ilkay Gundogan, who didn't do anything wrong but wasn't magnificent from my memory.
All of that is accurate.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the other two changes, Jonas Hector starting at left back, and obviously Rudiger coming in for the injured Mats Hummels. So 4 changes to that Germany lineup.
And so Jogi Löw has to have another go at it at half-time. What does he do, Taylor?
He makes a smart choice, in my opinion.
What's he do?
And he makes the choice that I thought he was going to make in the beginning. He brings in Mario Gomez.
Big target striker.
He takes out Julian Draxler, and I think theoretically Timo Werner goes to left wing, but I'm pretty sure Timo Werner, Marco Reus, and Thomas Muller were told, just go do stuff and have Mario Gomez distract, because they were all over the place. Timo Werner was on the left, he was on the right, he was in the middle. I think that's probably why you were thinking that Thomas Muller might have been central, because he was sometimes he drifted out left. There was a lot of fluidity in those 3 attackers.
And I like it. I like the idea of having a central, not target man, because they weren't just lifting crosses into him, but just a central reference point, and then everybody else can rotate around him. I saw Thomas Muller doing a lot of making short runs within the box and asking the ball to be played into his feet. To Sweden's credit, Germany could almost never find that ball, but I saw Thomas Muller trying relentlessly to get that ball. In the end, what works is just the pure pace of Timo Werner down the left. And that's how they get the equaliser.
And I feel kind of bad for Timo Werner.
Why?
Because
from
a statistics standpoint, he did not. Because he draws the free kick, but it's because
for the winner?
It's Toni Kroos passing to Marco Reus, who puts his foot on it, then Toni Kroos hits, so Marco Reus technically gets the assist. Timo Werner for the equalizer gets the ball out wide on the left, blazes past his defender, does the
Lustig? I think Lustig
yes, Lustig, he does the stand up and then go, so Lustig is basically standing up, gets to the end line, Werner crosses it in, it's eventually scored by Marco Reus, but first there's just a little touch from Mario Gomez officially gets the assist. So Timo Werner involved in both goals significantly, but no points for that one.
He'll get the credit.
I'm sure he will.
If not the stats, right? He'll get the love.
Yes, I would say so.
The Liebe? I think he'll get it. He'll get it. There's an interesting thing where he might end up not playing centre forward anymore, though, right? It may be that Gomez is the go-to centre forward now, and Timo Werner has to go out left. I do want to give some credit to Sweden for the way they set up in this game. So even though they were defending somewhat deep in the second half, they weren't as conservative is the wrong word.
Agreed.
They weren't as,
no, I know what you mean.
They weren't as cowardly as we expected. We expected
bunkered. If you want to go like
we expected 2 banks of 4, like deep and then tight, squeezed in, and just give you the wings but don't really venture out. What we got was still compact. The lines were very tight, but they tried to play Germany quite high up the field. It looked a bit like Leicester City under Claudio Ranieri, where they would really not have more than, say, what was the phrase was always like 25 metres between the forwards and the defenders, try and stay really tighten up, at least to prevent Germany forcing you backwards and backwards and backwards immediately. Germany still got there because they're relentless. But at least Sweden started from a higher position and worked their way backwards.
And I think it was especially smart because the two forwards up top, Berg and Toivonen, good, physical, strong, not that fast. And so if you're trying to play on the break, they're not going to be able to beat. I mean, you could see the moments when Jerome Boateng easily outran Ola Toivonen, I think twice in the second half from he started 5 yards behind him and outpaced him.
Yeah, because orange cleats don't make you faster.
Exactly. They do kick Sebastian Rudy in the face and have him be subbed off, but other than that, yeah. But I think, so if you're starting deep and trying to do that counterattack, it's not going to work. If you win the ball higher...
It's too far to have no pace to attack,
Exactly. And then the other thing I thought was
Which
pretty
is what happened on the
commendable.
goal and what should have been a penalty kick, right? They played the ball quickly in behind for Toivonen and Berg, and the distance was so short that their painful slowness didn't matter.
Exactly, but then the times when they would win it deep and try to play them out, that's why in the second half I don't think they had much of an outlet, because those two, it was basically eventually get the ball to Forsberg and see if he can dribble past everybody.
Forsberg being just I don't know what to do with this, and eventually winning a free kick.
Yep. And I want to say one more thing about Sweden's defense, because I'm with you that I think it was commendable in terms of how high up they were, relatively speaking.
And to be fair, in the end, it wasn't high at all, but at least they started high and gave it a go.
But I think Germany also knew they were going to employ that tactic. And so you could see very early on, you would see Timo Werner coming wider, trying to make runs in behind, but more often than not, you saw two different, you'd see two Germans out wide. And the goal there, I think, was to slowly pull Sweden out and really try to get them stretched and move the ball around quickly to find those gaps. Sweden didn't bite. If they did move into the channel, they moved as a unit and all the players slid over. If the ball was recycled to the other side, all the players slid over with that.
They were an accordion at rest.
Yes, well said, Daryl. Well said. Sliding and sliding.
The other way, the other person I want to give credit to, I think, in terms of Germany chasing the game, I think Manuel Neuer was very important here.
I was obsessed with Manuel Neuer in the second half.
You were tracking on Twitter whether he was crossing the halfway line.
Oh, no, I was tracking on the tactical cam, because you could see him, because it had just beyond the center circle, because the tactics cam, the Sweden goal was the closest one to the camera. Yeah. So you could just barely see on the other side of the center circle.
Oh, because you only get 70-80% of the field, right?
And so there were times when you could only see Manuel Neuer's feet just restlessly pacing, and then sometimes he would slowly come into the screen, and then eventually he did pass midfield.
Well, Manuel Neuer's feet, I think, are the important thing here, because I know we think of it as the Algeria game, where it's Manuel Neuer in World Cup 2014, where it's Manuel Neuer racing off his line to beat opposition attackers to the ball and his sweeper keeper and all that. This is the other type of sweeper keeper where it's constant German pressure, and he's essentially there to receive the ball when it's played out long to no one, but just he can collect it and he can pass it very quickly to someone like Boateng until he was there, but to Kimmich or someone else to recycle the attack and get it started.
Oh, yeah.
If that was a normal keeper, that ball has to bounce all the way back. Then Sweden can come up a bit. Germany have to come back a bit. He was able to keep Germany high up the field. Even when he's not beating people to the ball, he's keeping the ball moving quickly.
Yes. And, this is my analogy. I remember playing dodgeball once. I was terrible at dodgeball, as an adult.
Is this about a year ago?
Yes, I was not good. But playing against a team of people who played dodgeball all the time, and they were super good. They were that sort of, arrogant swagger where they would, walk right in front of the line, a bit, go ahead, throw it at me. And that's what Manuel Neuer reminded me of, because he had such faith in his German teammates not to concede the ball cheaply, not to put him in a position where he would get lobbed from midfield. He really didn't drop. There were times when Sweden would get the ball and be maybe between their 18 and midfield, and Manuel Neuer was still a good 35 to 40 yards from his goal. He wasn't retreating at a moment's instance. He was kind of waiting to help recycle and help regain possession.
Chip me, I dare you. Chip me, I dare you.
I feel like he's probably said that at least once in his career.
Anything else on this game?
Yeah, I will say, I know there's going to be a lot of talk about, can you believe that Germany did it and they were a man down? I think this is maybe a quick take, stupid take. I'm willing to accept that.
Hang on, let me just rub my hands together.
Sure.
And sit back in my chair.
Sure. I do think we have played games before, both with shorthanded and against teams that are shorthanded. And I think playing against teams that are shorthanded can be very, very challenging.
Yes.
And it was only 18 minutes. Germany had their subs. But I will say that it can be difficult.
Was it only 10 men for 18 minutes?
Yes. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. It was 8 minutes of regular time, 5 minutes added on, so 13 minutes total. But I think it can be really difficult, because if you know, that's my man, that's who I'm supposed to be marking, I'm paying attention to that player, but suddenly that player is now a left center back and a back three, it changes your responsibility.
Oh, because someone was responsible for Joshua Kimmich, for example, and he's wide and right when Boateng's on, but then he's more central, and it all gets weird, right? It reshuffles the pack unintentionally.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that, for example, Lustig would have done better in a second go around with Timo Werner in the sequence that led
I would argue progressively worse.
It's possible. But
I could draw you a graph.
But at least he's a defender, and maybe he learns from his mistakes. Durmaz's dropping back and just trying to make a play because suddenly, like, oh, I got to get back there, and this guy's here, and he's not listening to Sebastian Larsson, who's saying, I've got it. Like, it just makes me feel like when you have to kind of throw everything forward and try to make something happen, it can be a little bit more difficult to know exactly who you're supposed to be marking and when if you're Sweden.
That's a really good point.
All right. Then not that dumb, but still also not that innovative, I'm aware, because I'm pretty sure I've heard people say it can be difficult to play against 10.
There you go. All right. Anything else on this game?
I'm curious to see if this unites Germany, because there were some rumors that maybe the locker room was a little bit fractured. It sounds like some of the players, at least a small group centered around Mesut Ozil, were frustrated with some of the other players for not speaking up on behalf of Leroy Sané. Mm-hmm. Worth noting, Germany's strongest attacks came when they were sprinting down the channels. That seems like something that Leroy Sané could have helped with. I would
say, though, Leroy Sané would have been sprinting down the left, and instead it was Timo Werner.
There is that.
And he got the unofficial assist and the unofficial assist again for the win for the free kick. Right?
Yep.
And Julian Brandt, who was the guy selected instead of Leroy Sané eventually, hits that shot about 5 minutes before that hits the post. That looked like for a second that was going to be the winner as well.
And that would have, I feel like, completely vindicated Jogi Löw.
Yes.
Instead, he's only partially vindicated right now. But like Mesut Ozil dropped for this game. When they were chasing and needed attacking options, he didn't come on.
I will say, I just saw a quick shot of when Toni Kroos scores. I saw Mesut Ozil. I think he's leaning on the far side of the dugout. He's up and celebrating. He's not sulking at all. Yeah. He's up and celebrating and cheering with everybody else. I think you're right that if there was any friction within the squad, this dramatic late winner may have served to unite it.
Well, we shall see. One game remaining for Germany in this group. 3 games remaining tomorrow.
Well, if it's okay with you, I'd like to preview those games right now.
Yes.
All right. So tomorrow's games are 8 a.m. England, Panama, 11 a.m. Japan, Senegal, 2 p.m. Poland, Colombia. And by the time the final whistle blows on Poland, Colombia, we will have completed match day 2. Every team in every group will have played 2 games exactly.
That's a weird way to put it, but I see what you're going with there.
Yeah? Why is that weird?
Because I'm like, we're on match day 10, aren't we?
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay.
For a minute, I thought, once again, much like... who is it? Guidetti's girlfriend who can travel back in time? Maybe I thought we'd done that too.
Well, I sort of wish we could travel back in time to yesterday's previews because we got one of the kickoff times wrong.
Yeah.
We got the 2 games in the afternoon switched around when we did the times. Not our fault. We had a bad source of information.
We did, but we've corrected that since, right?
We have. We now have a better source of information. We are closer to the source of when and what channel Fox is airing these games on. Let's say that. Okay, 8 a.m. Fox Sports 1. It's England, Panama. I'm excited because despite a few bumps against England, for England against Tunisia, they did win, and it seems like the group is feeling confident.
How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling confident.
Yeah?
There's maybe 10% of me is apprehensive that Panama and their defensive 4-5-1 is the thing that England stumble on. Mm-hmm. Because, for example, Belgium in the first half against Panama could not find a way through. It wouldn't be impossible to see England doing that for 90 minutes. And that becomes frustrating. Then the old narratives come back.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. But the way they moved the ball against Tunisia and the chances they created, even though, Lingard put it over the bar and John Stones whiffed on one, I feel confident that I'll see an England team actually possess the ball and create chances against a bunkered opposition at the World Cup.
Right.
It'll be almost a first.
And it seems like if you do, that will be with a few different faces in that starting 11.
Well, I think 2, maybe 2 changes. Here's what's happened. We made reference to this yesterday. The English media, I actually can't remember which newspaper, and I'm glad I don't know which one because I'd be really angry at them. They had a telephoto lens and snapped a photo of what Steve Holland, England assistant coach and longtime associate of Gareth Southgate, was holding in his hand. And it was essentially an England lineup and depth chart, just like the ones that you keep in your binder over there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it basically revealed what we think is England's starting lineup against Panama.
And most importantly, it revealed that Trent Alexander-Arnold is called Trent within the squad.
Everybody else was referred to by their second name, but maybe because Alexander-Arnold is too long, or maybe just because everybody loves it.
I always write TAA, so yeah.
Trent was just Trent.
That makes sense.
Yes,
but maybe the bigger...
He wasn't, by the way, he was listed second in the depth chart for right wing back. First choice, Kieran Trippier.
Trippier, not Trippier.
Yay. So I think we got a couple of... disgruntled tweets because one of us, may or may not be bearded, said Trippier instead of Trippier.
I like to Frenchify, right? I like to get fancy.
I just assumed that because you knew Kieran Trippier's international debut was away to France.
Obviously.
His international career was born in France, therefore his international name has a French accent.
Why is it that hard to figure out?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
But anyway, Kieran Trippier will be starting at right wing back, not Trent.
But that's not one of the changes. The two changes that seem to be happening are Dele Alli, who it turns out came out of that second half against Tunisia with some sort of injury. I can't remember what it was.
Thigh injury, I believe.
Thigh injury is going to be replaced by Ruben Loftus-Cheek in central midfield. As I was really excited about Loftus-Cheek's entrance. I think I was proved right. I saw some doubting faces in the office when I was all excited about RLC. He really was part of opening up Tunisia.
Abbreviations all of a sudden.
Yeah, RLC, get it. It also looks like from that piece of paper that Marcus Rashford is going to jump ahead of Raheem Sterling and start alongside Harry Kane. And if Ali is actually injured, Sterling on the depth chart was listed as one of the central midfielders.
Yeah.
So he'll be a replacement for either Jesse Lingard or Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
We
might see him deeper, interestingly.
I have a feeling that is specific to Panama, would be my guess. That against bunkered opposition, maybe Gareth Southgate is expecting to be able to have a bit more leeway in terms of putting on attacking players and being maybe less worried about putting on defensive-minded central midfielders.
Right, so Sterling can start from deeper.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, or even if he came on as a substitution, if you guys are chasing the game, Fabian Delph maybe doesn't make as much sense as bringing on Raheem Sterling to create in the middle.
That makes sense. Fabian Delph was listed centrally. Steve Holland's thumb was over the left wing back spot. So it's either Ashley Young or Danny Rose. I honestly don't know. Young was perfectly fine against Tunisia. There may be a reason to start Danny Rose, such as like he's left-footed and he offers something more going forward. I'm happy either way. Let's put it that way. Gareth Southgate was not happy, though, with the media releasing that piece of paper. He said, anytime the opposition knows your starting lineup, that gives them a competitive advantage. But then he also said, it seems that people have just seen a piece of paper and made some assumptions based on it. That was the starting 11.
You might want to like get together and get your story straight before you try to do a couple different press conferences. Now I genuinely am.
That was all in the same quote, by the way.
Outstanding. All right, so maybe call a break in the middle of your press conference to make sure you're on the same page with yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. I genuinely am on the fence in the middle about this one. So I would like to hear. Because you were very frustrated with the English media. And in my mind, it sort of is like, they got a leg up. They found a story. They got the starting 11 or at least the depth chart. So, of course, they're going to print that. You seem very frustrated. And to be honest, two other people I talked to who aren't really England fans were both like, I can't believe they would do that.
Yep.
Why are they shooting themselves in the foot?
Here's the thing. If someone had come to the media and leaked the story, then maybe you publish it. Because people are curious. People are interested. Like, I'm weirdly interested and glad that I know the 11. I'm not glad that Panama knows the 11. The part I don't like is that the England camp was obviously trying not to reveal the lineup. Steve Holland famously kind of is really careful about his notes. They had to use a zoom lens.
Wasn't he the one who was like obsessed with leaks?
Yes. They used a zoom lens from distance to deliberately snap a picture of this. So while the rest of the press were focused on the England team training and practicing, taking some photos for that, someone was sneakily watching Steve Holland and trying to get this. You know what I mean? So it's the sneak attack version of it. That you're getting something England obviously don't want to release.
And I guess it makes more sense when you look at it from the perspective of it's supposed to be a sort of reciprocal relationship of, look, they're letting you into training, they're letting you watch segments of training. With that comes responsibility not to maybe stab them in the back, and I guess that's the way they're perceiving it.
Yep.
So, okay, that makes more sense then.
And I've had a constant...
Now I'm mad.
I've had constantly...
I'm John Guidetti mad.
About the English media, because they constantly build up the England team when it sells papers, then savage them and say terrible things about them when that sells papers.
Yep.
They're just like an outrage-ometer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But sometimes they lead the outrage. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't trust the English media at all.
Sometimes they manufacture the outrage.
Exactly.
So don't be surprised when suddenly it's a problem that Jordan Henderson ate a tangerine for breakfast. Why not a grapefruit, Jordan? I don't know. Somehow that seems like it's controversial.
£100,000 a week, Jordan eats tangerine.
There we go. Can't even be bothered to peel it himself.
So for Panama, maybe we should pivot to Panama.
Probably.
So against Belgium, they did a slight... They weren't brave in terms of where they set up, but they did pick a younger crowd. Escobar played centre-back, right, ahead of Beloy, and Murillo played right-back ahead of Machado. I'd be interested to see if they do that against England as well.
Yeah, I think they will. I think that because they want to be able to deal with some of the pace that is expected, especially if it's Marcus Rashford, but even if it's not, Raheem Sterling, not particularly slow. So maybe you want to keep
this
some
England
fresh
team
legs.
is famous for having pace everywhere. Yeah.
The one thing that it seems like from the couple different British-based match previews I saw, they all seem terrified of this being, maybe not terrified, again, maybe they're just building that narrative of this being Iceland again, which is, I guess, also what they were saying about Tunisia, but I think it's because it's an opponent who wants to be defensively bunkered, sit back, look to break on the counter, and has a player who can throw the ball very far. So it's like those three
Machado,
things.
he might not start,
but
right?
he might not start. So that might be the reason why he does, is to provide that set piece opportunity. Because again, I can't remember if we've already said this. It's kind of a long show. More set piece goals than have ever been scored at a World Cup scored in this World Cup. I think more than 50% of the goals are from set pieces.
Is that because there have been so many penalties given because of VAR? Catching penalties?
It might be, but then I think I also
penalties
heard...
count as set pieces, right?
Maybe it was Philippe Auclair. I forget who it was. Somebody on another podcast speculating that maybe it was because defenders knew that VAR was going to be there, so they're not grabbing as much. Tell that to Harry Kane, though.
My one concern in this game for England is Marcus Rashford.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Marcus Rashford in moments. I still think he's too determined to receive the ball and turn and go. And that will either work out wonderfully, he'll accelerate away. And once he starts doing 1-2s after that, it's great because he breaks it open and then he's on the end of a passing move. But when he gets frustrated, because he's still a young man, right? When he gets frustrated, I see him make not great decisions in terms of when to turn and go. Because sometimes he chooses every time.
Yep. I mean, and it can be frustrating. Because
I hope I eat those words and he turns and goes and blazes past Murillo and comes inside and scores.
Yes, but for me, it's not always the blazing past and trying to run. It's the turning and shooting from 30 yards out when that doesn't necessarily need to happen.
But that's, again, fine if it goes top corner.
All right.
Here's my guess for this game. Late arrival in the box, Jesse Lingard, because he's very clever and sneaky. He can arrive late in the box. This time he scores.
How many celebrations do you think he's prepared already?
Oh, I hope hundreds.
I would say that I'm, from a nominal England fan perspective, slightly worried about the potential of Blas Perez to cause chaos up top.
Yes.
First of all, I don't know if he'll be the one who starts because they do have other attacking options. But also, as we talked about last time, you have VAR, and I don't know how much stuff he can get away with because of that. He can obviously wind people up and do a couple kicks and do some Diego Costa-ing. We heard from one, I think I retweeted it, from one Tunisian player who was saying that Diego Costa said horrible things to him the entire game.
Yep.
Blas Perez could do that.
He insulted everyone in my life.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's right. But I don't know if Blas Perez offers you that swift counter-attacking option they may need.
He doesn't, but he does offer an aerial threat. If you just bang the ball up long, there's a good chance he wins it. And the thing I think as well about England is the thing to watch for is them playing the ball out of the back, trying to go through John Stones. Maybe he dribbles forward, finds Jordan Henderson and starts a move that way. Blas Perez is canny. He may be very good at not doing anything CONCACAF or foul or anything like that, just being smart and closing down passing angles and maybe tackling an England player that gets overconfident. Say Maguire tries to dribble out the back. I can see Perez sticking him and then maybe Panama are away. That's what I'll be having nightmares about this evening.
Yeah, but I will say these previews get me excited. I'm ready to go for 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay.
And then at 11 a.m., we'll have Japan v Senegal.
Yeah, that game is on Fox. It's on Simpsons Fox, Empire Fox. I Googled shows that are on Fox.
I think we said Empire yesterday, didn't
we? I know, we weren't sure.
Okay.
Also, it turns out, I said, what's the sciencey show? I forgot, what's it called? Big Bang Theory. Right, it's a CBS show, right? But it's in syndication on Fox. So that's why I've seen it in the Fox listings.
I don't think you should be proud of knowing anything about Big Bang Theory.
Neither do I.
All right, so Japan.
Japan, Senegal, 11 a.m. on Big Fox.
By the way, it's fine to like a show. I just want to say that before I get tweets.
I genuinely don't like it.
And again, Daryl at TotalSoccerShow.com. DARYL. There you go. So Japan.
4 L's.
I think I would recommend that Japan, playing against Senegal, make sure they're aware of players who are on the sideline getting treatment, and maybe don't boot the ball back towards your own goal until you know exactly where those players are. That's a big one to keep an eye on.
Here's another thing I would do if I was Senegal.
Yeah.
If I win a free kick anywhere near the area, I would strike it low, just like Quintero did for Colombia, because we learned Japan's wall jumps. At least that time it did. I don't know if they've learned their lesson, but I actually don't know who takes Senegal's free kicks. Maybe Sadio Mane? You don't think of him as a striker from
I have a feeling we'll
distance.
find out. I bet there'll be some physical challenges in this one.
But look for the first free kick. Does the shooter strike it low and on the ground and take their chances on Japan jumping again?
I think they absolutely should, no matter what.
And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least you tried, right? The opportunity's there.
No, but even more than that, I would say, if you do, I think as soon as you have the opportunity to do that, you hit it low and hard, because even if they don't jump, they now know, they're looking for that. And I think it keeps them rooted to the ground the next time, and now maybe you can adjust that kick a little bit, knowing that they won't jump, or at least you've maybe scared them into not jumping. I'm with you. That will be very interesting to watch when they get that first free kick. For Senegal's defense, I mean, there are lots of attacking names for Japan, but Osako is the one who I think surprised us both. Not necessarily because we didn't think he was good or anything like that. It's just that with those names, with your Kagawas and your Hondas, we thought those would be the ones kind of taking that game, especially with that man advantage. But Osako was the one who caused problems and scored the winner. Yeah,
we thought of Osako as someone who would be more of the setup guy, right? Exactly. Wouldn't be taking the glory. He'd just be laying the ball off to Kagawa. But in the end, he did that, and then he also scored the winner. He did. Osako, go Osako.
Yes, and I'll be interested to see if that was a one-off situation or if he does cause those problems against Senegal. And same thing kind of goes for Japan, that I thought they were far worse than they looked when they played against Colombia. But I also think part of that may have been the fact that they had a man advantage from pretty much the entire game.
That's the question, right? Do we find out what did Japan look like playing against 11 men?
13 minutes is one thing when it's Germany. 80-something minutes against Colombia on the first game of the World Cup, something different.
That makes sense to me. Final thing to look for with Japan, as always, I believe his name is, I haven't got it in front of me, but Inui, the left winger with the right foot who loves to cut inside. Yep. I'm calling him Japanese Tekatito. Sorry, Japanese Chucky.
There we go.
Japanese Chucky Lozano.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Sure. I was trying to, would that be The Grudge? Like that series? We go that route?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Ringu. So for Senegal, two guys that really caught my eye, not just the central midfielders, Jai and Guy. They did a really good job in defensive central midfield for Senegal in that game against Poland. The guys I didn't know were the fullbacks. I think they look good. I think Senegal might secretly have some very talented fullbacks.
Yeah. Because they're not those international names. You do get drawn to the big ones. That's why, I think the Poland-Senegal game was billed as Lewandowski versus Mane.
Yes.
Senegal's fullbacks fly under the radar a bit.
Yep. So Wague, I believe it's pronounced, a young guy who plays right back. He looked very composed, very impressive. And Sabali, the left back, who is right-footed, and he often dribbles in field and then keeps going. He's a little bit like the Senegalese Marcelo, but that's a big label to have, right? Yep. So, but look out for Sabali, the left back, dribbling forward.
And then the other question mark I have when it comes to Senegal is up top. Mamadi Biram Diouf started for Senegal. I played 60 minutes. Didn't have a shot on target. We didn't see Keita Balde, for example, so I'm wondering
I forgot we didn't see Keita Balde.
There you go. So I'm wondering if we see different personnel employed up top to maybe spark that attack a bit more.
Yeah, I like Jeffrey Sacco. He's more of an aerial threat. Maybe we can get him in there. And, of course, Ismail Assar caused all sorts of trouble going forward and did an auxiliary right-back job as well.
Ismail Assar is his evil cousin.
See... who threw his brother off a cliff.
Exactly.
So you watch for him coming backwards and going forwards. He can do it all.
All right. And then final game of the day. Final game of the 3 games a day season, I guess.
Yes, it is. So the final of match day 2 p.m. on Big Fox, Bob's Burgers Fox, X-Files Fox.
Is Poland v. Colombia. Worth noting, before we get into previewing those two teams, it is sort of strange because we're sort of excited to just have 2 viewing periods a day, but that is
actually 4 games.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm mostly excited to have a little sleep in.
That'd be nice. Yeah. That'd be nice. Anyway, yes, Poland v. Colombia. Some interesting things when it comes to Poland would be who is in defense for them. Kamil Glik has returned to training, but not sure if he will be cleared. And again, do you want a mostly fit or potentially mostly fit center back starting in a really make or break game? Well, I don't know.
100% fit Cionek, his replacement, scored an own goal against Senegal. So how much worse could it get?
Well, you got me there. That's really good. And then the other one, Joseph Lowry wrote a great piece for The Athletic. Yes. We talked about it yesterday, where he kind of broke down what Senegal did to cause problems for Poland. One of them was that they essentially forced Krychowiak back so that he was picking the ball up off those center backs. The idea with Poland, I think, was that they want to play from the center backs to Krychowiak. He links up to the attack, and then they get more fluid options that much faster.
Yep.
But if you force him back, there's gaps. They're not as successful.
And you sever the link between Krychowiak and Lewandowski.
Yes. Yeah. So let's look to see if he's forced back or if he's able to kind of roam around the midfield a bit more. I think that will be that would be a very big factor factor in what Poland do and how successful they are against Colombia.
It's always worth keeping an eye on Zielinski, I think he wears number 19, attacking midfielder. If he can find some through balls, then it's all on for Poland, but he has to get the ball first.
Yeah.
Worth noting, this is slightly a desperation game.
100%.
Because Japan-Senegal is the same group. Japan-Senegal both won their first games 2-1. Both those teams, I think, would probably settle for a draw if they had to. Mm-hmm. Poland-Colombia, they lost their first games. Yep. Both of them need to win this game, I think, to get their campaign rolling again. Yeah. So this might be a bit of an end-to-end shootout, or it might be super conservative. Who knows?
And we know it's not mathematically the case that they have to win this one, but they probably need to.
Yeah, don't send us your calculations.
No, don't. And with that, then you wonder how Colombia are going to roll the dice. Sanchez will be suspended because of that red card, so they're going to have some discussions.
Sanchez, central midfielder Carlos Sanchez.
Thank you. They'll have to have some discussions about who starts in midfield, or if they change up their approach a little bit. Maybe we see Yerry Mina come into center back, because they looked very aggressive from their holding midfielders and those center backs.
Yeah.
That caused problems for them in the first game.
Yeah, was it Oscar Murillo went charging out and basically gave up the big hole at the back that Davinson Sanchez had to chase down. Eventually turned into the penalty kick for Japan.
So
I would ditch Murillo for that decision, and because I just like Yerry Mina.
Yeah, or it could be Zapata if they do ditch him, so we shall find out there. But whether or not they come out as aggressively, I doubt, just because, or at least aggressively, attacking potential loose balls in midfield, because they don't want to risk conceding another early opportunity and then really find themselves in the hole.
The other big question is James Rodriguez, the man it all revolves around, the number 10, fit enough to start? So he came off the bench in the first game against Japan, played, maybe 30-ish minutes, maybe a little more. Did fine, did okay, but I think they need him here. And if he's fit, I think if he's 80% fit, he starts this game.
I mean, it's not controversial to say that he is far and away their best player.
Yes.
He is their most technical player.
The whole game is built around him?
What is it, how goes James, so goes Colombia?
Yes.
Something like that. So I think they need him to really pull the strings as that number 10.
And then the number 9, Radamel Falcao, always worth keeping an eye on. He's so good at making those near post or far post runs for James to serve in, and Falcao finds it with his head or his feet. He's also great at winning free kicks that he doesn't entirely deserve.
Causing problems in a variety of different ways. Radamel Falcao.
If Pazdan, my man Pazdan, comes charging out of the back and fouls anyone, you could see Falcao hitting the deck, winning a free kick for James to step up and score.
Man, 3 good games tomorrow. And that's really been a consistent trend through this World Cup. Knocking on wood again. We still have yet to have a 0-0 draw, which is somewhat shocking to me because I don't believe it's ever gone this far, or it hasn't since the 1950s. And my biggest fear is that this sets up just the worst knockout rounds, where it's just because I think it's still a very low scoring tournament. At least it was until today when many goals happened.
Yeah,
but couldn't you just see that if there's a bunch of goals, there's no draws, and then suddenly all the knockout rounds are 0-0 and penalties?
I'm scared of that too. But my biggest fear is being trapped alone in space.
Oh, that makes sense.
Shall we move on to talk Total Soccer Show Scouting Network?
So you did not enjoy Gravity? That's what I'm taking away?
I did not. I was very tense.
Okay,
that way. Also, some of the dialogue was weak.
Have you ever heard Tina Fey and Amy Poehler's summary of that movie?
No.
It's a movie that proves that George Clooney would rather drift off into space and die than spend one more minute with a woman his own age.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I think that was before he got married, but still, it's a good line. It's a good line.
Okay. Total Soccer Show Scouting Network. Yeah. This is one of the ways we support the Total Soccer Show. You go to totalsoccershow.com/join, sign up for the Scouting Network. We give you a young player to keep an eye on. Normally we do these reports every show. We're slowing it down a little bit for the World Cup because, one, most players aren't playing because the World Cup's on. And two, there's just not that, there's not that much stuff coming in. So, shall we start today with a report from Doug Chan and Anurag Anjaria?
They are both scouting Andrea Novakovic.
Okay.
Or Novakovic, excuse me.
He's a heavily scouted man.
Yeah.
All right. So, Andrea Novakovic, the 21-year-old American forward, he's played for the US now, on loan at Fortuna Sittard from Reading FC. This sounds like an update to me.
Might be.
Novakovic is returning to the Netherlands after signing a 2-year extension at Reading. He'll join newly promoted side Fortuna Sittard on loan for the 2019 campaign. This will be Fortuna's first match back in the Eredivisie since they were relegated in 2002. So correct me if I'm wrong, he was with Telstar last year in the Eerste Divisie, which is the second division. didn't quite get promoted. Didn't they lose in the playoffs or something like that? So this is a chance to go up a division. This is a step forward for Novakovic, even though I've never heard of Fortuna Sittard.
All of the things you're saying are accurate. Zachary Betcher scouting Timothy Weah, 18-year-old American forward for PSG. Weah crashed Rappaport of Sports Illustrated's Rec League soccer game, and apparently the other team wasn't very happy. It's worth noting, I saw this story. Timothy Weah basically said, like, anybody needs somebody to play pickup. He showed up and apparently played very simple. He wasn't trying to embarrass people. He wasn't trying to showboat. He was just trying to play some good, solid soccer.
Lovely.
Yep.
He was also, as I understand it, he was in New York for the Showdown in Chinatown, the Steve Nash event.
Yeah.
As was Weston McKennie and quite a few young US men's national team players. I wish I'd gone to that.
And also Kyle Martino, by his own admission, getting his ankles broken.
Is that right?
I think Weston McKennie showed him some things. Sorry, Kyle.
Ed Ritter is scouting Ben Mines, the 18-year-old American attacker for New York Red Bulls 2. Ed says, Ben started and drew a penalty in New York's 2-2 draw with Bethlehem Steel. It seems Ben's manager has given him increasing amounts of playing time since his return from injury. Go on, Ben Mines.
Ira Jersey scouting Ashley Sanchez, 19-year-old American attacker for UCLA. Ashley played 72 minutes in the USA's 3-1 win versus host France to sweep a U20 World Cup warm-up tournament. Although she didn't get on the score sheet, Ashley was involved in a number of promising attacks and helped in possession. It wasn't her best performance, but she still got to lift a trophy at the end. Worth noting that Ira Jersey is a lovely, lovely man because he intentionally didn't put the name of the tournament in there so that I wouldn't trip over it when I tried to read French.
Thanks, Ira. Oh, actually, no, I didn't know that you would be reading that scouting report, so now I wish you'd put it in it.
I took a risk. That's why I pointed to you when we started reading scouting reports. I knew the order.
Ryan Marzak is scouting Pione Sisto, the 23-year-old Danish attacking midfielder for Celta Vigo. We've seen him in this tournament. Ryan says Pione Sisto earned the MLS assist, that's the pass before the pass, on Denmark's lone goal in their 1-0 win over Peru. Oh, this was their first game, right? He played a perfect through ball to Christian Eriksen, who fed Yusuf Poulsen for the 1-0 lead. He then had an up and down in Denmark's second group stage game. Up and down match. He looked sharp when attacking, but almost half of all Australia's attacks came from his side of the pitch. He also picked up a yellow, which could be problematic if Denmark advance out of the group. I think for Denmark, those sort of problems we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I would say so. Beth Jolly and Alex Barone scouting Kylian Mbappe, the 19-year-old French forward for PSG. Say Beth and Alex, Kylian scored at the World Cup. You probably watched the match. This concludes today's scouting update. Smiley face. Smiley face
emoji. Yep. And then Kylian slowly, very slowly, walked off the field and shook everybody's hand.
Attaboy. He still is. Some say he still is today.
Michael Wills is scouting Julian Brandt, the 21-year-old German attacker for Bayer Leverkusen. Michael says Julian came on very late in Germany's 1-0 loss to Mexico in their opening game. He immediately created a couple of chances, including a shot that just went outside the post in the closing minutes. He then got minutes today. This is a fresh scouting report. In Germany's 2-1 win, it's still hot, over Sweden, where he nearly won the game for Germany with a nice shot that hit the post.
So the first one went just wide. The second one hit the post. Third one, back of the net.
He's scoring against Korea, isn't he?
Yeah. Watch out, Korea. We've got Jim Tietz up next, scouting Carles Alenya, 20-year-old Spanish midfielder for Barcelona B. Alenya was one of the candidates to replace Iniesta in Barcelona's first team next season, but then he ruptured a tendon in his right hamstring.
Ouchie.
It's the same injury suffered by Ousmane Dembele, a while back, that is, and Alenya had the same doctor as Dembele performed the surgery.
Sounds like this surgeon's got a bit of a racket going.
Yeah, and living in Finland was the other part of the report. Okay. He will miss at least 3.5 months, meaning he'll be out for Barca's preseason and the start of their La Liga campaign.
That's tough for Carlos. Eddie Horatius is scouting Federico Bernardeschi, 24-year-old Italian midfielder for Juventus, so we know he's not at the World Cup. Ed says, Fede finished his season with Juve as a Scudetto winner, playing in 22 matches, scoring 4 goals and 6 assists. Ed thinks he's done all he can for Fede and is ready for a new scoutee, specifically a female American college player from the ACC or the Pac-12. I never know which colleges are in which conferences, so I guess some researching on my part.
Yeah, to clarify, I compiled these scouting reports while Daryl was not in the office. I think you were out getting us lunch, so it occurred to me that I would not remember to tell you that Ed Horatius wants a new scout, so there you go.
So this was the way you did it. This is how you break it to me.
Pretty much.
It's good.
And Joachim Widner, we'll find that one out, scouting Felix Bejmo, the 20-year-old Swedish right back for Werder Bremen. Bejmo moved to Bremen from Djurgårdens for €3 million, which is the record for a defender in the Allsvenskan, which is the Swedish league.
All right. Well,
the top division of the Swedish league or whatever.
Thank you very much to everybody who submitted scouting reports today. We very much appreciate it. If you'd like to join, it's totalsoccershow.com/join. join. If you'd like to support today's sponsors, Little Nomad is littlenomadshop.com and Liverpool Jeans is liverpooljeans.com. Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today, and thank you for indulging me on the England preview. I know that went longer than expected.
Oh, my pleasure. I just want to say, in your face, the Al Pacino movie, 88 Minutes, because we've got you beat by probably 3.
Listeners, thank you for listening, especially if you stuck with us all the way through to the end. If you want more Total Soccer Show, I've got good news for you. We'll be back tomorrow with yet another episode.